course, you can find a social media platform that can give you that soapbox, that can give you that chance to stand out, and you can make some great things happen with your personal brand.
Hello and welcome to McGrawesome Sauce, the podcast all about helping entrepreneurs level up so they can become awesome. My name is Nick McGraw. Thank you so much for joining me in this episode. Today, I got to talk to Lucas O Keefe on Instagram as the Lucas O Keefe. He is an Instagram and social media expert. We got into all things social media, what to do, what to avoid, and even some of the trends that he sees coming around the corner for all different types of social media. We talked about the power of an audience and your community and engagement and how that's going to be even more powerful than it ever was in 2020 in 2021. If you're looking to tap into the power of your own social media to build your own business, you're going to want to listen to this. Lucas O Keefe, the man, the myth, the legend, reporting live from his bunker of doom, somewhere in his fortress of solitude with his amazing gray and black foam. I want foam like that. Where can I get it? If you say Amazon.
100% Amazon. This is
I missed it.
Sponsored by Amazon, fortified position here. I've never felt safer in my life than right now.
Amazon is the sponsor of this episode. If only they knew that, and I'll get in touch with them after this, actually.
Put that affiliate link for these foam squares in the description below.
Smash that like button, hit subscribe, click the link below, and you get $1 million. That's how every podcast episode is, right, Lucas?
Yes. Did you know Amazon actually drops most people if they don't get enough affiliate sales in like the first few months?
Really?
That was the biggest warning I've heard. It's like, because you'll see the YouTubers who have like 100,000 subscribers and like they consistently have the Amazon links for like cameras, tripods, everything in their bio or their description. But I've heard from a few of them who have said, yeah, don't do that right away because anyone will be accepted for Amazon affiliate, but if you don't get the actual sales quickly enough, they drop you.
Oh, yeah. Wow. So you better have a plan. It can't just be, I want to make more money. Is this a passive income strategy? Oh, thank God we're not talking about that, right, Lucas? How many times you got to hear passive income this year and last year? Thank you for being with me here on McGrawesome Sauce, man. This has been overdue. We've been friends for so long in the digital realm. I've known you for almost a year now. And we're always talking to each other. We're always giving each other pointers and ideas. You've helped me. I've helped you. It's such a great friendship. And I've seen you in cyberspace live many times on other people's platforms and on other people's social media. And I know what a champ you are. And I know how great of a speaker you are and overall great guy. So I'm sorry we've taken this long to do this from friend to friend, but I'm so glad you're here with me now.
I think it's because we've had so many like friend casual conversations that we put this off for so long, right? Because it's like, well, I just spent like all of my Friday. I should have been working, chatting, sending voice messages back and forth with Nick. So I don't want to be on a podcast with him right now because I just chatted with him all day long when I should have been working, right? So I think that's been our problem.
Your last voice note to me is, okay, we'll edit that together and there's your next podcast episode. What do I got to do everything for you, Nick? Just use what I have with you organically and string an episode together.
Exactly.
Speaking of you being on social media and you being, such an expert at that, that's what I want to talk to you about today in this episode. I haven't spoken to any real social media person or, social media expert on my podcast yet. And I would love to do that. Now, I know there are those of us who are good at this part of social media and that part of social media, but you really went all in. And I know that you are on almost every platform where you are trying to build your audience. If you didn't have an audience before, you went there and built one anyways, and you're really, really good at it. And we're connected in all the places that we can be connected, which is really, really great. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Why did you decide that social media, learning it, being an expert in it, teaching more about it, why was the social media, instead of one platform or another, but all encompassing, why did you dive so far into this? Why was this your passion? Why do you like teaching it? Why do you like learning about it? Why this?
Yeah. So with my background as a school teacher, like I'm that teacher who the kids either love or hate, because if you give me a chance, like in the middle of a math lesson, I think this is a positive more than negative from a student perspective, but like throw me in a math lesson And then all it takes is like one question that gets me sidetracked and has nothing to do with math and has to do more with like, you know, a fun pop culture reference that happened like a year ago. I'm that teacher who will take that reference and just get so sidetracked talking about that for most of the lesson, where it gets to the point where a kid will raise their hand and be like, hey, Mr. O'Keefe, I think we're off topic. Like, can we actually go back to learning fractions? Which is probably more of a problem by that point if a kid wants to learn math as opposed to hear me chat. But I am that teacher. And social media, right, is that place that gives us that platform. It gives us that soapbox. And increasingly so, like now is like people say, like, you know, that ship has sailed. I disagree. Now is the best time. If you have the right platform and if you have the right communication style, of course, you can find a social media platform that can give you that soapbox. It can give you that chance to stand out, and you can make some great things happen with your personal brand.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen. I'm so glad that I love the fact that you're the teacher of this. Like, oh, Simpsons reference or
Yeah.
that thing from the 90s. Oh, let me tell you all about that because I lived that. And then the kids are like, oh, this guy knows some stuff. Can we get back to mathematics? No, we're going to talk about my childhood and so that you can learn from it. I love that, man. Yeah, I just see a lot of people really being successful with this. And I do find that they'll pick a platform or two, stick to it, master it, and that's where they want to be. It's rare to see someone being great on Facebook and Instagram, but then also know what they're doing with a YouTube library and LinkedIn, and they dip a toe into TikTok, and now Clubhouse is now here to stay. Clubhouse is not a flash in the pan. Clubhouse is very much here to stay. So now it's really interesting to see how some people have picked one or two things to be good at and not all of them. And that comes back to your soapbox thing where it's like, well, I'm only going to be really good here. I think my message and my audience are only going to be into me here. I'm only going to be effective here, but not all of them. Do you have any insight as to why that is? Like, why do you think people like position themselves on this and that, but not those over there?
I think so. As I mentioned, I think it really does come down to your preferred communication style. Someone who is amazing at creating content for TikTok will probably find a lot more difficulty being successful on LinkedIn, for example, right? I personally love Instagram because it's that middle ground. It has, if you're good on YouTube, you can be good on Instagram. If you're good on TikTok, you can be good on Instagram. If you're good on LinkedIn, you can be good on Instagram, Twitter, Instagram, right? Like it is that perfect middle ground, in my opinion. That's why it's my bread and butter, my favorite platform that I've kind of defaulted to. But I think we really do have to be careful of shiny object syndrome. And I speak from experience because I have been like driven in every which direction because of other platforms. That's actually where I stand with Clubhouse right now. I think if someone has because in my opinion, 95% of positive Clubhouse conversations end up on Instagram anyways, right? Like I think if you are a rock star in Clubhouse and you are really connecting with someone, you're going to say, you know what, let's keep this conversation going. DM me on Instagram and let's chat.
Yes.
Right. So I keep saying to people, find that soapbox platform, find that foundation that you are going to be a rock star on, that you can use as your, again, foundation that you're going to build everything else upon. And then it's great to explore other things and to get out there and to know how they work. But I think everybody needs to be a master on one platform, maybe two, if they really want to start building anything beyond that, right? Because, you know, what's the saying about being a master of none, right? If you try to do everything, you're not going to be extremely strong on one thing. And I think with social media now, it's all about standing out, making that impact. And if you are, let's say you have 500 followers on 7 platforms, I would rather have 3,500 followers on one platform, right? I don't know if the math is correct, but I think it is best to have the strong foundation first. Use that as your home base and bring people back to that, which is really where I think people should start on building first without getting distracted by other things.
Do you see a lot of that, for lack of a better term, unclarity? Do you see a lot of people with overwhelm? Do you see a lot of people trying to do all the things, spin all the plates? I'm gaining traction on this platform, but this one's sinking. I gotta pull that one up. But now all the other things I've neglected. Do you find people have a lot of overwhelm? Do they ask you questions like that? Do they come to you for your expertise? I'm like, what can I do to simplify my life?
Yeah, just from personal experience too, like not even people asking me, I felt that way, right? Like
Oh,
we chatted when I was just growing on Instagram, and
yeah.
I think I actually slowed down my Instagram growth by trying to, you know, be on LinkedIn because Gary Vee told me LinkedIn was great, right? Or because
Hashtag because Gary Vee said.
yes, exactly, right? I'm sure you've heard that many times on the show,
Mhm.
but yeah, so I've been driven in the wrong direction because again, shiny object syndrome. That's hearing about a new opportunity, realizing that it could be a shortcut. We love shortcuts, even though
Mhm.
I've learned that they aren't good. But we hear about a new opportunity that could get us success in a fast way, and we want to go there. Again, there are like Clubhouse, for example, is a great example because I know people who have like, you know, 2,000 Instagram followers or so, and they have already passed their amount of followers on Instagram on
Mhm.
Clubhouse. Like they have like 5,000 on
Yeah.
Clubhouse, and now their Instagram is growing because of that. That's
Yes.
awesome, right?
Mhm.
But I think finding your platform that works for you is going to be more important than the specific platform. So for some people, it's Clubhouse. For some people, it's Instagram. For some people, it's LinkedIn. For some people, it's TikTok. It's all about finding what that platform is, make it work for you. But that's also why you should experiment with all of them because you won't really know unless you try them all out.
Right. It's a lot of this is trial and error. And if you have no
Yes.
experience, like, listen, just because you've been on Facebook for 10 years doesn't mean you know Facebook. Like,
Yeah.
I was on Facebook for 10 years and apparently I didn't know how to use it at all. I put
Same.
photos of my vacations up and stuff like that. Oh, you could build a business on this. You could live your brand. You can live and breathe your brand every single moment. You could build a brand on this thing. Why didn't anyone tell me that? Right. And I think a
Well,
lot of people
looking
just
at
aren't.
Facebook though, we like you said, we've been on Facebook as personal accounts, personal
Yeah.
users for like over a decade,
Yeah.
but I've joined very few Facebook groups in the last 10, 15 years. And Facebook groups now are the modern way, really the only way, in my opinion, unless you're doing ads, to grow on Facebook, right? But I haven't, even in over a decade of, as a personal user, I've never actually experienced Facebook groups till this year.
When you say Facebook groups are a great way to grow, do you mean joining a bunch of groups for yourself or building your own?
Again, building your own, but I probably should mention the disclaimer that like building your own Facebook group would not be the place to start. Start somewhere else. Start on a more
Right.
organic platform. TikTok's great if your audience is there. LinkedIn's great if your audience is there. Instagram is still awesome for organic reach. Twitter's still decent for organic reach. Start there, but Facebook is a great like landing page almost. Like bring
Mm-hmm.
everybody here and get them to engage more in that Facebook group because then you're kind of like you're in like a camp together. That's where I think Facebook groups are unique. But as a personal user, I had never experienced that on Facebook till I investigated it for myself.
You said one of the hot buzzwords of 2020 and maybe even before, engagement.
Yes.
Oh, how we both love and loathe engagement. I'm of the opinion, but I think you could enlighten this opinion. I am of the opinion that engagement is extremely important and pivotal and could be the linchpin of your growth on any of these social media platforms, except for the ones that are just favor the content creation. I feel like TikTok is more like just put it out, put it out, put it out.
Probably the only outlier where I would say like you can
Right,
just put out good content and still get thousands and thousands of views. But
right.
I 100% agree with what you're saying for every other platform,
Right.
right?
Engagement. We saw this in 2020, in the first year of the pandemic, how pivotal building relationships and going out and reaching out, being the first person to reach out, getting on someone's profile, showing them some love, getting out, doing it again to someone else that you're a big fan of, how quickly you can grow with engagement. I have heard some people in some circles say that that's the past. We don't need to worry about that anymore. I firmly believe that engagement will still play a big role if you're trying to grow in 2021 and beyond. Am I correct in thinking this, or is engagement we can just ignore it now?
No, you're 100% right. And I think where those beliefs come from, people who say engagement is dead, they're looking at like cold DMs, cold emails, cold outreach that is just like copied and pasted and
Oh
so
yeah.
overdone that it just scares people and immediately pretty much gives you a bad reputation as someone who isn't treating people on social media as people on social media, right? Like that is the biggest problem. As soon as someone starts looking at followers as, some kind of computer data, some number on their profile page, rather than looking at, what a customer is, someone who is a real person who has real money and you have to convince to buy from you. That is what a customer is, right? People, as soon as they realize that, should have a completely flipped around perspective on what their priorities should be on social media. As soon as you realize that, you should realize that, you know, cold outreach of just spamming people in their DMs, and we still get tons of these messages in a week. So it's sad that people aren't learning, but it's part of the
I
process.
share mine with you, and we laugh about
Yes,
them.
I always want to make a post. I feel like Instagram has like a rule against sharing DM screenshots. It's like a privacy law, so I haven't done this, but so I don't want to get banned. But I would love to make a post of like, here are the 10 worst cold DMs I've received that make me immediately give up on an account. Right. But yeah, so here's the problem. I think the number one question I get to my Instagram all the time, like daily, is, Lucas, my hashtags are not working. Like, what is wrong with hashtags, right? And the reason for that is we've come to learn for so long that hashtags are the only way to get organic reach. Hashtags are the only way for people to discover us. Explore page is there, but many people know that many people view Explore page as something that only becomes accessible when they have like 5K, 10K plus followers, right? But that is not true. Hashtags are the past, in my opinion. I love how you asked that question. You said that engagement is the future in 2021 and beyond. And I 100% agree, because people need to start doing the legwork themselves. They can't rely on hashtags to just find people and deliver them to them. Yes, social media used to be that way and it was wonderful, but social media, even though it doesn't do that anymore, it's still an amazing opportunity. It is people all around the world who you can connect with, build your brand to, without having to pay any money, right? You are just taking some time. You are authentically looking at their stuff, seeing something that you can resonate with, giving a positive connection, making a positive first impression or an impact, and hopefully, but not expecting it, hopefully they will follow you back. That's the secret to growing on any social media platform. Treat people like people, give them a reason to follow you, hope that they do. Don't be bitter if they don't, and don't like hound them if they don't, because that's just going to push them away even more. If you have those priorities in place, you will grow on social media.
It sounds like people are just averse to hard work, because I did this. I remember it was around the time you and I met. It was around May, just before the summer. We were just settling into what this COVID thing was. And I feel like that's when you and I started talking. And I set myself a challenge in May that I was going to engage for 30, how many days are it in May? 31. I was going to engage for 30 days straight. And every day that I posted, even on days I didn't post, I would make it a real effort to do 1 to 2 hours of engagement every single day. And it was hard, and it was grinding, and it was grafting work. But I went up by 250 followers in a month. Now that's not, moving the sun and the stars. That's not exactly like saving lives, but like I've never seen a more measurable and greater amount of engagement in such a short amount of time. And increase in followers and increase in clout on my profile than when I was doing this engagement regularly. And I know how much hard work it is. It sounds like people would just rather pick 30 hashtags or 25 hashtags that they like or that they think will work and hope they'll do all the hard work. They'll do all the heavy lifting for them. Do you think it's just a matter of having that conversation with them? Lucas, my hashtags aren't working. It's like, no, you're not working.
Yes. And I want to give a huge disclaimer I should have said earlier. I'm not calling people lazy or anything like that. I used to do the thing where like, it's just something that social media does to us. It makes us kind of disconnect from the fact that these are other people. There are tons of bot accounts, there are tons of spam accounts, right? Like half the accounts, like, whether it's meme pages or sports pages or fan pages, many of them are very automated now, but they also don't monetize very well, right? So we see tons of social media accounts that we can naturally just become disenchanted or disconnected from people to people. So it's natural. I always tell people, my first ever account 5 years ago, it was an NBA basketball fan page, and I did every dirty trick in the book. I did follow for unfollow. I didn't buy followers because I was cheap, but I literally just did everything possible. I would go to all like the worst hashtags, hashtag follow for follow, hashtag F for F, hashtag like comment for comment, like for like, all the worst ones that are now usually banned. And I would just like literally on autopilot get my phone and I would go follow, 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 follow. Like I would just do that on autopilot until my daily maximum was reached. I would get tons of followers. I got to 6,000 followers in like 3 months of time doing that. Very minimal effort. But when I started posting, and as I was posting for 6,000 followers, I was getting like 3 likes. I was getting like 1 comment. If I was getting more, it was from the engagement groups I was a part of. And as soon as I wasn't giving back to those engagement groups, I got kicked out and those people stopped commenting and didn't care who I was. Right? Like, so social media does train us to take these shortcuts. It makes these shortcuts feel appealing. But if we always just take it back to what you would do in a real brick and mortar business, right? That's what I always say. This is my biggest turning point that I had to learn the hard way. So that's what I mean. I don't think people are lazy. I don't think people are looking for shortcuts. I think we just have to learn it the hard way to really understand it, right? But if you had a business, you wouldn't pay people or buy followers to come into your business because you know that wouldn't convert into actual sales, right? You wouldn't just like mass spam people all over the world who don't live anywhere near your business, right, to come buy from you in person because they could never do that. So I think that's something we all have to learn. Social media kind of makes it easy to do the shortcuts, but we can really see or hear from examples like mine that the shortcuts don't work. And that's the main thing I would stress to most people.
That's what I love about you too, man. Like I know that you've gone through the obstacles, like you've gone through the trenches and you've seen what doesn't work because you did what didn't work and now you teach people the opposite. Like your purpose comes from your pain. So if you're going to teach people
Yeah.
how to do things the right way on social media, you always tell that story. You want to know why I know what I'm talking about? Because I did everything wrong. I ruined my chance to grow organically and positively on social media. So now that I've done all those wrong things, I now know what to do that's right. And I want to
Yeah.
teach you what's right. And speaking of teaching, I know that you are very plugged in, and I know that you have probably seen some trends or some positive things that we can look to on the horizon. I've seen some of myself in the branding and marketing world, but I would love to know what you believe is on the horizon for social media. It could be platform specific, could be Instagram specific, could be Clubhouse or TikTok specific. What do you think is a trend that we can look forward to, or a new feature or a new tool? You know, like Instagram dropped Reels last year. You can name one of those things. What do you think is on the horizon for social?
Yeah. And I think all the platforms you just mentioned kind of tie together to make up my answer here. You said Clubhouse, you said TikTok, you said Instagram, you said Reels specifically. I will even introduce stories with my answer as well. We can see a common factor in all those platforms, and that is showing up on video, or Clubhouse being specific, showing up on voice, but it's the same thing, right? So voice or video, which are, again, in my mind, the same thing, are very difficult to fake. And I think we've been hearing for years. We know how huge YouTube is. YouTube is going to keep growing and growing and growing. It's not going anywhere. YouTube is now replacing mainstream cable, mainstream media services, right? Like, again, as a teacher, most kids go home and watch YouTube. They don't watch television like you and I did. We went on YTV and watched that after school. Most kids watch YouTube and tune in whenever they want on demand to their favorite creators. Okay. So we know video is huge. That goes for every platform. And the reason for that is because social media is super easy to fake. Fake it till you make it is a huge problem on social media. You never know how much you can trust someone, right? And I'm not saying video is like a surefire way to know if someone's truthful or not, but it's a lot more difficult to lie on video or on voice. So podcast is huge as well. Clubhouse too. Video or voice, when you hear someone speaking like I'm doing right now, like you're doing right now, you trust them a lot more if you agree with what they're saying, obviously, but you get to know a lot more about their point of view and their knowledge and how you trust that just by hearing their tone of voice, hearing the confidence they express themselves with, seeing their facial expressions or any tells they might have if they look like they're lying, right? You learn so much from video that many people kind of hide by just posting static images or photos. I can go take a photo, right? Like downtown New York, whatever, or like in that, like, let's say I can go to LA, take a bunch of nice photos on my vacation in 15 different outfits and have enough content to last me for the next 2 years. And I can tell people I'm super wealthy living in LA, and I can make the nicest captions lying about how successful I am. And tons of people will believe me, right? But as soon as I hop on video and they see I'm just in some little basement like this, right? Like people are going to be like, oh, I thought he was in
He's
like,
not in New York. He's not in
yeah,
Times
like
Square. He's in his Death Star bunker.
like, where's his nice LA suite? Like, I think he's lying, right?
That's
Again,
right.
that's not something I've said I do. So I'm not worried about showing off my basement like this. But it is super easy to lie with photos and with static images because you just post that thing once and there's no other evidence that you're lying. As soon as someone hops on video, you can tell if they've been making up all the stuff they've been saying or preaching for the last, 10 years, 5 years, 1 year. And it's very easy to catch someone. So I keep telling people, yeah, go ahead, make nice designs, right? Like make some stuff that shows your expertise. That's important, but teach what you know because people will find out. And if you're not willing to do what it takes to show people you know what you know by being on video, then someone else is going to go on video and show what they know. And people are going to trust that person a whole lot more than they trust you.
That's brilliant, man. That's the key. People buy from people, but people buy from people they like.
Yeah,
and
100%.
if they feel that they can, the first time they meet you live in Zoom, if they say something like, I feel like I already know you. Oh, why is that? Well, because I've consumed all your 100 videos that are on your Instagram. Then that's already halfway there to doing business or closing a deal of some kind. And that's what we're using social media for. You and I specifically are using social media to grow our brands, to grow our businesses, to get out there more, network, make connections, and be the entrepreneurs that we know we can be, right?
That's the power of personal brands, right? Like there are so many people in the world, so many people on social media in the world that it's no longer like a competition between Burger King and McDonald's, like two major powers. It is Burger King, McDonald's, and then 10,000 personal brands in the personal branding space, right? Like every niche has so many people who can enter the game because there are so many possible customers who can buy from those people. It's not, I don't consider, like, again, I don't consider anybody on Instagram, which is my main area of business, to be my competitor. Everyone who could be a competitor, I actually just become friends with them because I know there are so many people to go around. There's so much overlap. And like you said, people are going to buy from who they like. People are going to buy from who they trust. And if I have, if I make an impact on these 50,000 people, I'm happy. That's smooth sailing. This person can have those 50,000 people, and there's still going to be another million people who we haven't even connected with who are still to learn from, right? So like so many possible people to connect with. Social media is a gold mine in that regard.
Awesome. I asked you what you think the trends are for social media, and you answered with video. And then we started talking about brands and what we're doing to build up our brands. What's next from Lucas O Keefe? Like, what's next from your brand? What are some of the things you're trying to chase? What are some of the goals and ambitions you have? What can I expect from you as you grow? Because I'm always going to be in your life, and I've been a fan of yours for a long time. So as a fan, what can I expect from you?
I want to show up more on stories. I want to get more on video because again, we all like, I think it's the perfect example, and not to repeat the same answer, but we've heard for years that video is huge. We know it's huge. We like YouTube. Everyone's like, oh, it's too late to grow on YouTube. It's not. Every single year, there are people who from January of one year till December of that same year come out of nowhere. Nobody knew who they were in January, but by June they have 150,000 followers. By November they have 1 million followers. Like video game streamers are a huge example of this because again, it doesn't come down to your reputation or your past or your education or experience. It comes down to who you are and who people like. If you can communicate effectively and obviously look at the content, look what works on YouTube, My biggest turning point for me, any platform, any kind of content creation, and I always say this, the moment I stopped passively consuming it and just kind of like scrolling on my phone and instead started thinking about why I was consuming it. Like, why did that YouTube video make me watch for 15 minutes without me realizing it? The second I started doing that was a huge turning point, because then I realized, okay, this person did quick cuts. They didn't keep the same static scene for more than 5 seconds before they put some B-roll or something else on top of it. Like, there's a reason for that. Attention spans are shrinking. The second I started kind of analyzing everything and learning and applying what I could to my own content, that's when I really started to grow and I think become a better content creator. So I'm still excited to learn and apply these things that I'm recognizing every single day. And I would like to keep doing that on video myself.
Excellent, man. For the people listening who haven't met you yet, although I don't know who that could possibly be, because I feel like you've met everyone by now. Where can they find you? Where do you hang out most? How can people connect with you?
Yeah, let's just say Instagram is my home base. So it's just at the Lucas O Keefe. People can find me there, send me a DM, follow me. I'd love to connect there. Any of my digital products I sell are always in my link in bio. I like to keep it to the point, because I think choice paralysis is a huge thing. If you put like 20 things for people to do as a call to action, they don't pick any of them. So whatever I'm focusing on is always just my one single link and my link in bio. So if anybody wants to see what I'm working on, any projects, they can just follow me at the Lucas O Keefe and click on that, and they'll see what's on my mind.
I should do that right now. I don't think I'm following you on Instagram.
Oh
wait, no. I was following you since you were at 1,500 followers. So I remember the early days, Lucas. I remember watching you accelerate all the way to, what are you at, 500,000 followers now?
Oh, I wish 60,000. We're getting there.
Yeah, of course you did. No, I was 61,000. That's for sure. I think. Let me just see. 62,000. Yeah, that's very good. I can't wait till 100, man. I'm gonna be there for 100.
Looking forward to it, man. We'll do another episode then.
Lucas O Keefe, thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to watching you grow.
Thanks, man. Looking forward to chatting with you every day like we always do in our voice notes.